just wanna make you laugh. I just wanna see that smile. Baby, we're only here for a little while. I just wanna hold you till we fall asleep. I want love, I want us, I want you, I want me, I want peace.
Some days you feel like you are crushing it. You feel connected, you have energy, mental clarity, and you just feel like nothing can stop you. And sometimes you get to string a whole shitload of those days together and you really get a lot done. But then other days you wake up and it is just a constant struggle and you are not motivated and you cannot figure it out and you can't do shit but scroll on Instagram. And it is just really hard to get back to that person that you were when you were feeling on top of the world. And so on Mondays, what I do a lot of times is I like to do an episode called Maybe You Need to Hear This Today. And I know certainly over the last few weeks, this is something that I needed to hear over and over because there are days where, like I said, I'm killing it. And then there are other days where it is just a total struggle to get my head out of my ass and to do something productive. And that's okay. And that's today's message because I have researched this up and down. I have tried to fight through these feelings of malaise and these feelings of disconnection and being unmotivated. And sometimes, look, fam, it is just not going to happen. Now, having something like a personal manifesto or even just your goals written down or having an aim that you can refer back to when times are tough can be immensely beneficial because you have that moment where it's like, okay, well, you just forgot who the fuck you were, but you're back now and you're ready to crush. And that's going to be really beneficial. But again, there are going to be times where that is not the case, where you just cannot get it together. And I'm here to tell you today that that is completely okay. Because look, we are humans. We work in periods of output where we add volume and then we need recovery periods and we need rest periods. And sometimes those feelings of disconnection, those feelings of not being motivated, those are just stemming from the fact that you've used all of the resources that you have. You tend not to believe that the way that you think is actually using physiological resources, but that's actually not true at all. The way that you think is using tons of resources. And so if your game is on for a certain amount of time, your body is going to pull the brakes back. Your body is not going to be able to just go and go and go. Like that's one of the things I talked about in my first book in Burn Your Couch was this idea that you cannot add and think that you are going to be able to progress in a linear fashion without ever taking a recovery, right? That is, you look back as old as written history, you look back to biblical times, there is a reason that people rest on one day of the week. There's a reason that there's a natural rest day built into the week, right? In Christian religion, it's the Sabbath. In Jim Jones, it's 3-day split where the third day is a break, a rest day. It doesn't matter. We are humans and we need rest and recovery. And sometimes when we are really going and we're really on top of shit, our brain is just going to pull back anyway. And so in those moments, it's not best to try to just push the gas down, right? It's not best to try to just go forward as best as you can because you are out of resources and your body needs to recover. Like I said, if you can remind yourself who you are and bounce back, then yeah, maybe you just had a moment of malaise, a moment of trying to figure it out. But on the other hand, if that's not the case, which is going to happen for you, the best thing to do is not to just put your head down and ram forward, right? Some days you just got to figure it out, have activities that are going to stimulate you in a different way. Now, as a content creator, I run into this all the time because I'm sort of always fleshing out ideas and thinking of the next way that I can frame something to help it click for somebody else. And one of the things that happens is you lose all of your mental bandwidth because you use it the fuck up, and that's okay. If you have a demanding cognitive job, it might be the same way. If you have a demanding physical job, it might be the same way. And a lot of our jobs are a really big combination of both. In the military, I was constantly like burning out my cognitive function and my physicality and my physiology at the exact same time. But the point is, some days you're not going to feel it. You're not going to feel the connection. You're not going to feel like doing shit. Now, if too many of those days go on in a row, now clearly you are having like legitimate motivation issues and you got to figure out like, is your aim wrong? Is there not enough authenticity in your life that's motivating you to want to do the things that you should be doing? And I talk about motivation a good amount on here, so go back and listen to some of those other episodes. You know, if this is a chronic issue, but if there are a few days where you're just not feeling it, the reminder is it's okay. Drink some coffee, hang out, watch Netflix, do what you have to do. And I know that kind of goes against, it might seem like it goes against a lot of what I say because I wrote a book called Burn Your Couch. But the reality is that we are humans. We need periods of recovery. We need periods of adaptation. We need periods of rest. And to try to force yourself through those is going to do so at your detriment. And listen, I know in the physical space, sometimes we think like, oh, we're going to lose our gains, right? And the same thing might happen to you when you are like setting goals and you're going after your goals and a few days go by and you're like, oh, I'm backsliding. You're not backsliding. You're resting. You're recovering. You're adapting, and you're going to get better. Now, you need to have these things written down. You need to have tools and practices in place. Like, for example, one of the things that happens to me is I have these moments of disconnection, but if I go change my physiology in some way, I sort of bounce back, right? And that's how I know it's not true. So I can get in cold water, or I go for a run, or take a cold shower. Like, doesn't really matter. But if you change your physiology, a lot of times you can change your state and you can sort of get the gears going again. But again, there are days where that's not going to be the case, where your body is simply needing to recover and you might not even know it. We tend to leave a lot of programs running in the background in our lives, and we don't even notice that we're doing it. So sometimes we get this sort of emotional burnout and we don't even really know why. It's like when you have your phone and you've used every single app on your phone and you never closed any of those apps out. You don't see them, you don't notice it, except that phone starts running a little bit slower, a little bit more clunky. Things aren't working as good as they should be. The reason is you're using all of this bandwidth in the background, and we tend to do that with our ideas and our anxieties and our worries and all of the things that are going around in our life, when we're going to pick the kids up, what we're going to do about this proposal, what we're going to do about the job, what we're going to do about money, about the 401k, about the bills. All of these apps are running in the background of our lives. And so sometimes it doesn't matter if you change your physiology. It doesn't matter if you recheck in with your goals. You just hit a moment where it feels like your body does not feel like doing anything. In those moments, I would recommend that you actually don't do anything, that you figure out how not to stimulate yourself. You figure out how to reconnect with yourself in a more relaxed way. It's okay that every single day you're not crushing it, because every single day is a struggle to manifest our complete potential in the world. And that's just the reality of it. Some days that struggle isn't going to feel like a struggle at all. Some days you're going to be on top of it, but some days you're not. It's Monday. A lot of Mondays we feel like we're not on top of it. It's okay. Come up with something else. Do something else. Get your mind off it. Ramming your foot on the gas when your car is already up against the wall is not going to make a damn bit of difference. Maybe you need to hear this today. Maybe you need to relax a minute. In the moments we get frustrated with ourselves, but give yourself a break. It's going to be okay. Keep working on yourself. Keep working on your goals. Do the things that you know you need to do. Exercise. Take care of your energy. Prioritize yourself. But if it's a day where you're not feeling it, look, tomorrow's a new day to get it right. It's going to be okay.
Arms spread way too thin. Everybody wants to know what's happening. Arms spread way too thin. What's the big rush now? Tell me why you're rushing. Arms spread way too thin. Everybody wants to know what's happening. Arms spread way too thin. What's the big rush now? Tell me why you're rushing. Why you rushing? Why you rushing?
But everybody's calling, but I just need some time. I just need some room to breathe again. Better clear my mind. You don't need to be here, all up in my face. We need to find the right solution, put you in your place.
I said, hey, I got a lot to say to you. Hear what you say, it's not true. So this is what I'm gonna do. Look at me, I'm gonna let you know. Arms spread way too thin. Everybody wants to know what's happening. Arms spread way too thin. What's the big rush now? Tell me why you're rushing. Why you rushing? Why you rushing?
This has got me twisted in the worst kind of way. You put me down when I'm not around, and then you smile at my face. But you don't need a home
style, let me breathe. Let me chill for a while, let me breathe. No, it's not my style. I said, hey, I got a lot to say to you. Hear what you say, it's not true. So this is what I'm gonna do. Look at me, I'm gonna let you know.